Hey, everybody. Greg again. Da, 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 da. Somebody's birthday today. It's Wednesday, June 18th. Whose birthday could it be? It's your birthday. Sir Paul McCartney's birthday today. He's 83 years old. The Beatles. Da, 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 da. We're gonna have a good time. Da, 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 da. Paul McCartney is just he's gotta be one of the most famous people in the world, one of the most photographed people, the greatest songwriter along with John Lennon in history. He is just with, of course, one of the members of the Beatles. He sort of took over as the leader of the Beatles, especially after their manager Brian Epstein died. He was sort of the driving force of the Beatles. Whenever the Beatles would get into a funk and they would talk to each other, so he would be the one who said, "Come on, let's go, get in the studio, we're doing it, come on." Then, of course, after he left the Beatles, after the Beatles broke up, he did solo work, and then he was with the Wings, who had quite a few hits on their own, and now he's a solo artist again. It's got a band, and he's still rocking out, 83 years old. Now, his voice isn't what it used to be, let's face it, like my voice. But, there's only so much there you can give, right? Before the vocal cords give out, before the lungs kind of quit on you. And, but today we have to appreciate Paul while he's still around. It's because he's not going to be around forever. So I'm really looking forward to those 4 Beatle movies coming out in a couple of years. Individual movies and how they look at their rise during the Beatles, different perspectives. So Paul's will be interesting too, like the other 3. You got to give him credit. He's still around. He hasn't retired or anything. There was sort of a kind of a 4-year layoff in the 90s when Paul was really focusing on getting the Beatles anthology out, both the documentary and the music. And it was great. But I still love the Beatles anthology. My friend, my brother-in-law, Chuck, who has passed on, the biggest Beatles fan I ever knew. One of the last things he did before he passed, he had pancreatic cancer, was one more time watch Beatles anthology. That's the one thing he wanted to do. Most of all, just a great Beatles fan. Collected all the records, had a lot of rare stuff, which he was kind enough to give me at some of it. And it was biggest Beatles fan I ever knew. Of course, there's other Beatles fans I know. Look at Steve Trevelise, my friend from WIP Sports Radio, the talk show host, DJ. He is probably the biggest Beatles fan I know now living. He just loves the Beatles. So I think, we're all celebrating Paul today, turning 83, and let's hope he goes on for a few more years, right? Let's hope so. Paul, just a few facts about Paul before I leave. He's probably one of the wealthiest musicians on the planet. He's worth over $1 billion. Of course, a lot of it is from his songwriting. And we know that he wrote classic songs like Yesterday, which has been covered over 2,000 times. Paul's been married 3 times, has 5 kids. He's in the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. First in 1988 with the Beatles, and then in 1999 as a solo. He has hit #1 in Billboard, on the Billboard charts, 32 tops. Just a what can you say? It's just, he is the Beatles, along with Lennon, Harrison, Starr. But you think of Paul, you think, isn't it something, you've made it when you could say Paul and know who we're talking about, right? When I was looking up on Wikipedia about some of the Paul things, I just put in Google Paul, and the first Paul who came up was Paul McCartney. So you've made it when it recognizes your first name, right? And yet, this is a guy, think about this. This is a guy who doesn't know how to read music, not a note of music. But he was so creative back then, along with John. It was sort of a competition between Paul and John. Even though they were friends, when they were with the Beatles, was a competition songwriting. Who can write the better song? Okay, I'll show you. I'll write this song. And it benefited us and the Beatles to have such great songwriters in that group, along with George Harrison, who turned out to be a great songwriter himself. So anyway, Paul, happy birthday if you're out there watching. I'm sure you are. Happy birthday, and many, many more. I saw Paul McCartney one time, a few years ago, when he played Citizens Bank Park. And he was great. And I thought at that time, I said, I can't believe the whole show was great. But when he did Yesterday, such a classic song, I thought, wow, to see Paul McCartney sing Yesterday live is just, it's one of those moments in life you don't never forget. And I'm sure that song, as well as the Beatles, will go on and on and on. New generations, they're discovering the Beatles. Young kids who weren't alive during Beatlemania, discovering the Beatles now. Look what happened when that new song came out last year. So there are points in your life that are unforgettable, you never forget. And the one time I saw Paul live, that was unforgettable. He's been a part of so much of our happiness, the songs that we know. You just drive by car, Can't Buy Me Love, Hey Jude, right? And the list just goes on and on. And I remember that movie came out a couple of years ago about what would life be like without the Beatles. And it's hard to imagine, whether you're a casual fan, or maybe no fan at all, or maybe a really diehard fan like myself. You can't imagine life without the Beatles, because they have touched us, everyone, in one way or another. Even if you don't like Beatle music or don't like music at all, the Beatles. The 4 members of the band. You've heard Beatle music in the elevators or somewhere in the supermarket or wherever, right? You're going through the radio dials. You can't help it. Get on a Beatles song or a Paul McCartney song. And so, yeah, one way or another, Paul McCartney has touched all of our lives. So, all I can say is just appreciate it while he's around. And I hope he has a happy birthday. So, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm planning a couple shows. One, I'm going to do a movie classic. This is a great movie. And we're going to talk about this movie tomorrow. It's going to bring back a lot of memories for you. Tons of memories. Just wait until you hear about this movie that we're both going to reminisce about tomorrow. And I'm also going to do a Remember When segment. We're going to talk about the 60s, 70s, and 80s again and reminisce a little bit. And I might do a regular show where we talk about the Phillies and the Eagles and what's going on in the world, different birthdays, different highlights, and quirks, quirks. So look for me tomorrow, okay? At least a couple of times, and we'll have fun again. Okay, everybody, peace and love. Take care, and put on some Paul McCartney today, okay? Whether it be Beatles or solo, put on some McCartney, and I'm sure it's going to brighten your day and make you smile too. So take care for now. See you tomorrow. Go Phils tonight.